Hey everybody, welcome back. I am bored. COVID made me bored, and today at the table, I am taking a look at Marvel Dice Throne missions. This was the, I guess, add-on, or yeah, I guess it's add-on to the Marvel Dice Throne X-Men Kickstarter that happened last year, back in 2023, I think. Not last year, maybe a little bit before that. I can't remember the exact date specifically. It took about just over a year for fulfillment. As of this date of filming, I just received it, and a couple days ago actually. And this video probably won't be posted for quite some time. So, but I just like every other Kickstarter, I I pack it, I forget about it, and then I'm like, oh hey, I got a notice for a shipment. What is this shipment for? Oh, it's for something that I backed like a year ago. So it's not like something that I was, on the update forums trying to comment, where is it, where is it, where is it? It doesn't really matter. I was confident that Roxley would fulfill it because I had a great positive experience with the original Marvel Dice Throne that I did back, and I do have that battle chest. I didn't get any of the other for this X-Men Dice Throne or Dice Throne X-Men. I did not get any of the other items. I kind of felt like 8 characters in the original Marvel Dice Throne battle chest was good enough for me. I didn't feel that I needed more, and I didn't need more of quote unquote the same. So I decided that I would just get the missions because, Dice Throne in it on its own is a sort of multiplayer head-to-head game. You're rolling dice. You're assigning kind of Yahtzee-like assigning powers or assigning to your specific powers, dealing damage, using cards to mitigate damage or to change the outcome of dice rolls. And I have to say that in my collection, Marvel Dice Throne falls within the top 10, maybe the top 3 of the games I really enjoy, even though I play mostly solo, so a lot of it's just head to head against myself, right? So when I saw that there was the X-Men, Marvel Dice Throne X-Men Kickstarter, I thought, oh, I don't really need more of the same. I have enough characters, I'm happy with it. And yeah, sure, I would love to have Wolverine, Iceman, and Cyclops, and Gambit, and Rogue. Those are all great characters. I was not a fan of the artwork for the Dice Throne X-Men. I didn't Maybe it was just because of a few comments, but it planted the seed in my head that, oh yeah, that's true. Is Iceman, the way he looked, kind of looked like Ellen? And it's very true, and I can't get it out of my head now. So thank you, whoever it was that commented on that. But it is definitely something that has sort of stuck with me. But I kind of felt like, people made comments saying, oh, all the X-Men characters, they all look like they're from the same parents. Well, technically true. It's from the same artist. But I found that the original the original Dice Throne, Marvel Dice Throne, the artwork was fantastic. It's great. And even what you see in front of you, this box, they don't look like they're all from the same parents. They look great. And even the box, around, it looks fantastic. So I didn't really feel like I need more. But then I saw, hey, they've got this missions. What is this missions about? I don't have any of the other Dice Throne series, so the original Dice Thrones. I only have the Marvel because I like the IP. And apparently there's something called Dice Throne Adventures, and it was where you can take your Dice Throne, your Dice Throne characters and create a cooperative sort of mission or adventure or exploration, sort of an adventure tabletop cooperatively working together. And I thought, oh, that's really neat. And then to have it in a Marvel format, even better. I had no hesitations with this one. I backed it, and I only backed this. I only purchased this part. I didn't get the extra sleeves. I didn't get the pre-painted minis, which covers both the X-Men series and the original Dice Throne, Marvel Dice Throne. I didn't really care for that. I've got a lot of miniatures as it is. I don't need more, even though they would be pre-painted and they would be very cool. I didn't feel like this kind of tabletop was necessary to have a miniature. Standee was perfectly fine. So among all the other items, I didn't get swayed. I just stuck with what I know. And I've only, at the time of this filming, I've only played once. I did the introductory mission. which was the tutorial for Dr. Octopus, and I loved it. It took a little while just to get the flow of, okay, it's the various steps, but it really, for me, the missions is a transformative component expansion that turns what I already enjoy, which I already think is a great tabletop game, into something even better, like even more so, like epic, in my words. All right, so and I really think I'm going to have a lot of fun playing this because you've got, so it comes with 20 missions, and you've got, I've got the original 8 characters from Marvel. That combination in itself is fantastic. And then, to be able to do cooperatively. So if I have my kids when they're a little bit older and they can get into this. My daughter is already learning to play this Dice Throne, and she loves rolling the dice. And gosh, she's very lucky sometimes. She really gets those ultimates when I least expect them. But it works, and she's able to play along. My son will be there soon too, and then we'll be able to dive in together to go through these missions together. And I can't wait for how much fun that'll be. And I've got my nephews. They're a bit older now. It's compared to 4 years ago or three and a half years ago when I started this whole venture. And they're a bit older now, but I think they'll also, hopefully get this to the table, and they can partake in that fun as well. So I'm just going to go quickly through a couple of the components and my thoughts on it, and I'll probably do another video of an actual playthrough. I'm sure there's plenty of coverage over there already, so you're not, what I'm covering isn't anything game-changing, but I just thought I wanted to go through it as well. I found that this rule book is hilariously large and very thin, but hilariously large. But it details every item that you need to know. You can see all the components that are listed. There's quite a bit. There are over about 270 tokens. That's a lot of tokens. And it's really because, I guess, when you have 20 different missions, 20 different bosses that you're facing, that each one will have certain, I guess, setup rules, and each one has their own unique status effects that they'll inflict on you. So I think that's one of the reasons. Although I haven't gone through all of them yet, I definitely can see that. With the Kickstarter, I definitely got the upgraded components. And the other thing too is this, I believe, this particular expansion is not available in retail. Except through if your local game store so happened to back it and they're reselling it, or if you go to the Roxley website directly, which, depending where you're located, could be cost prohibitive for shipping. And you might have the people like me who backed it, maybe played it once, and they're fine that they got it, and they're trying to resell it and maybe, I don't know, make a small profit from it. I don't know. But it came with upgraded components, and obviously this is something that you won't find in a retail store, so that in itself was worth it for me to do the Kickstarter. And it's going to go through all the different round phases. Very similar in the sense that because it's cooperative, you all do your income upkeep phase and your main phase together, and you'll execute your attack together. Almost, you can consider almost simultaneously. And then there'll be an enemy turn, which is sort of the AI driven, but there's dice for that. That has a separate set of dice for that. And then there's something called the crisis clock, which advances, and depending where it lands, you will have an effect take place, usually a negative effect. There's also something different as you're exploring the board or exploring the mission. You'll have boost tiles, I guess, and they provide you some benefit, usually healing or draw extra cards or have a positive status effect, which you can use later on. And there's also something great called allies, which I think is fantastic, a fantastic addition. And at first I thought, oh, all they're doing is just throwing you missions and you're just going through it, and all they're doing is, it's a slap on, and you're slapping this adventure onto a dice throne system. It's not. I actually feel that all the components and all the aspects of it really transforms it very differently from your regular head-to-head dice throne experience. So it's going to tell you about the ways you can move your target and how you can target enemies. Most of your combat is melee, but you have the option to convert your attacks into range. When you're playing regular Dice Throne, you never had to worry about range because you're literally meleeing each other. So everything was sort of a local attack or adjacent attack. But now, because of the sort of mission map that you're walking through, you have the option to do range, and it's great because in the gameplay that I had, I having ranged allowed my character actually pull off my ultimate and hit two simultaneous characters that weren't even close to me, which was great. So it tells you about the crisis clock. It tells you about other gameplay aspects, which I was talking about, the boost tiles. Your momentum is sort of your another currency. In addition to your combat points, which pays for your cards, you have momentum points, which pay for other aspects, acquisition of allies, executing certain additional abilities from those allies. So it's really interesting that it's another currency to keep track of, but I'm perfectly fine with that. It's not because they provide a dial, easy. You've got how the henchmen or the bad guys on the mission, how they attack, and it gives you examples. And then when it comes down to the boss fight, which is really cool, it tells you how basically the boss fight activates and what it does. Then you've got something called the perk points, which I think is really interesting too. This is another addition which I thought. To me, it's well thought out. It's a progression as depending on every mission has a particular difficulty level. If depending how you complete it, you have sort of a primary goal and a secondary objective. If you manage to complete everything, you get extra points. These points can be put towards your perks. They provide the sort of a perk sheet which you can keep track of, which I think is great. So you can keep track of spending your perk points in any way you want, depending on the difficulty of the mission that you played. So it tells you that, for example, any perk points that you earned, you at the end of your mission, you have to spend them right away, and you can spend them no higher than the difficulty of the mission that you're on. So if you did a mission that was difficulty 2 and you earned 3 perk points, you can't fill in boxes. You can't progress in areas with difficulty 3 and higher. You can only do 2 or lower. And you can choose any number, any combination to fill. Once you've completed or filled the boxes with perk points, you would gain that perk moving into your next mission. This almost feels like kind of like a campaign tracker, but not quite, because you can technically make a campaign out of this in a non-linear way. But this is such a cool idea, and it doesn't matter which character you use. It's not tied to the character; it's tied to you as the player. So I think it is it's a really neat way of creating incentive to try to hit that second objective, not just a primary, but you want to get the extra bonus points. So this does make it more interesting. I think I was a little surprised. I didn't know that it was going to be like this. I didn't always keep up to date with the progress of the Kickstarter, but you've got maybe 10 sheets or so. So they're double-sided. It is tells you the breakdown of the different missions and what their difficulty is, as well as the perks. And then once you run out, you can go to Roxley's website and download more to print out if you want to. But quite honestly, I plan on taking 4 of these and just laminating them. I'll take 4 of them, I'll laminate them, and then I'll just use a dry erase marker to mark off my progress, and that's fine. And given the fact that I'm mostly solo, it'll be me and maybe my kids, and that's it. So I think this is pretty cool, and having this as part of the missions aspect does, I feel, again, transform this into a really fun tabletop game. Definitely, when I started learning Dice Throne, remembering what all the status effects for 8 characters was kind of not a daunting task, but it took a while. Now I've after so many years of playing it, I'm quite familiar. But now I've got a whole set of status effects that come with missions that you sort of have to remember. So definitely, I might find I don't know if BGG, if anyone's created a smaller quick reference for this particular status effect chart, but I definitely feel like having this out on the table it's kind of a table hog because it's the same size as the box. So I'll probably look at reducing this into something a smaller format, quick reference for when I play this. So overall, I think the rulebook was well done. There is for sure, there's a typo. It's supposed to say match, but it says math, and I guess they kind of missed the mark on that one when it comes to to proofreading this thing. Um, if you go down to and take a look at the tokens I was just talking about, one of the things I appreciate, and I'm just going to move this out of the way. I'm going to move this up here, is the box. I really liked the way the battle chest was organized for Dice Throne Marvel Dice Throne, and I think the company that they partnered with for the tray was Game Trays, and they made really nice trays from it, which I thought was really nice. But I did find that it felt like it over time it might get a little brittle. So this time, I think they've partnered up with someone different. It's called Trayforge, and I don't know if it's a subsidiary or maybe it's just a completely different company. I didn't really read much about it, but this one's from Trayforge, and the tray is amazing. It's a much denser, thicker plastic, and I don't see any future issues of this getting brittle and snapping or breaking. Even right now, my Thor, he's already cracked a little bit, so I'm not too happy about that. But so you'll see that they provide this tray, which allows you to organize everything. You'll notice that these slots are empty because these are health tracker slots. If you know me by now, you'll know that I typically don't use tokens to track health. I will use 12 mil dice that I use to track health, and it works perfectly fine. I just when I show the mission, there's enough space on an enemy just to drop 2 dice and just calculate it from there, and it's perfectly fine. I really hate fiddling with change when it comes to this, so I haven't popped the health tokens in to fill these slots. But all the other tokens fit nicely in here, and I think on the side of the box, I'll try not to lift this up, right about here, tells you how to organize the tray, which is nice. I think this is kind of a neat way to just sort of slide it in there to say, okay, this is the format in which you could keep everything. You'll notice I don't keep the dice. I keep the dice within the baggie that came in because I don't like dice sliding around. And sometimes and this does on my shelf, it does sit upright, so I don't want it sliding around. But yes, definitely the tray organization system for all the tokens, amazing. This is better than, for me, than the way that, and it's pretty close. Warp's Edge, their tray system, amazing. This one, just as amazing, if not better. And the insert here holds everything nice, and there's plenty of room. And the box isn't too big, but there's quite a bit of space underneath this guy. But everything fits really nice. And you'll notice that I'm not using these token holders for the boost tiles and the, I guess, objective tiles and clear tiles because I haven't gotten to that point yet. I'm not sure if I want to use it because right now it's unfortunate that when you close this up and then you put this here, okay, it's too bad that there's no a second overlay, at least for this part. And that would prevent these tokens from shifting if I sit upright. But once I put the rulebook in there, it might actually hold in place. I haven't tried it yet. I might, but as of right now, I have the baggies. This whole container down here, is for the standees and the sculpts. I don't have those, so it's a perfect hole for all the, which by the way, as part of the Kickstarter, are acrylic tokens, which is also fantastic. I love them. These are the clear, when you defeat an enemy, clear tokens that you can put. You've got the boost tokens. I was reading that people are complaining that and I can see it now, but yes, the acrylic tokens for these boost tiles, very nice. You can they're really nice. I think it would be fine to be cardboard. I think for this price point, I think it's fair and it's nice to have acrylic. They could have gotten away with cardboard, but acrylic is perfectly fine. It pops. It has a nice vibrancy. But I think there's been complaints that the coating on the on these acrylic chips, they're chipping off. The paint is chipping off, and I can tell you right now, what was the one I was just holding? Well, first of all, I have one that's damaged. I don't know if you can see it right in that corner, and you can see some of the paint is chipping off. So that's unfortunate, but I don't think that these particular boost tiles, it's not like you're shuffling them. It's not like you're throwing them or anything like that. So I don't think it'll be damaged too badly, but I definitely will. Because I'm also affected, I'm also going to submit my report that my acrylic tiles are also chipping. And I don't know, I don't know if Roxley will produce something better, maybe something with a better clear coat, but I can see, yeah, I can definitely see some chipping on the boost tiles now that I take a closer look. You've got the boss health dial, you've got your momentum dial. The momentum dial is incredibly tight. These are very tight spinners. I think maybe because they're still, they haven't been really used much, but hopefully they'll loosen. But definitely the boss health dial, it is a very tight, and it's double-sided, I think, because there are some bosses that have more than 100 health, but I haven't gotten there yet. But the dials here are very, very tight. I've had to sort of pop it open a little bit just to loosen one side, so it's a little easier. And then you have the ally cards as well as your momentum cards. Your momentum cards are the cards that you gain as you, I guess, level up, and it provides you the ability to spend momentum. Like I was saying, momentum is your your second currency that you sort of keep track of in addition to your combat points, and it allows you to do extra abilities. So, for example, if you've achieved level 3, you can spend your momentum in this manner, which I think is great. But you'll start off with the level 1, and you'll notice that at least you can spend momentum to recruit an ally, which I'll get to, and gain range. You can spend 1 momentum point to gain range when you declare an attack or a defense. I think for some defensive capabilities which deal damage, you would activate range in the event that you're defending against someone that's doing a ranged attack to you, and you want to inflict damage back as a result of your defense, but you'd have to gain range first. So I think because by nature, this is probably one of the things that was sort of maybe shoehorned in, because there are times where you'll want to know, well, is that range? Is this range? So I'm still learning the ropes on that one, but when in doubt, spend 1 momentum, gain the range, and you've got yourself covered. For the allies, you have 20? I don't know how many are here. I can't remember how many ally cards are there. I think there are, plus the 25 ally cards, plus an additional 5 that you got as a promo because you did the Kickstarter. I don't remember which ones are the promo. Oh, here. Captain America is a promo. It says at the very bottom. But you have all these ally heroes, and it covers a wide range from X-Men to Avengers to, well, I guess those are the only 2, all the way across, and it's fantastic. And they each provide an ability by usually spending momentum points or exhausting the card. Exhausting in this situation, I mistook it as you exhaust them and they refresh, but don't. When you exhaust them, they go back in the discard pile of your ally card. So all of these are great to have, and you're allowed at most 1 ally at a time, but you can always acquire another ally to replace an ally that you have. Or you can, I guess it depends when it happens or depending their ability. So, for example, during your main phase, these certain ally cards maybe you're able to use them during certain parts of the game, like certain phases. So during the main phase, you could use Nightcrawler, and then at the same main phase, you can spend momentum to acquire another ally who may have a main phase activation as well. Who knows? So I think this is all great. This is what I think really makes it fantastic as well, in addition to the perks, and in addition to the fact that it's mission based. No complaints there. I feel the card quality is a little thin for my taste, but they're not being shuffled. These are, or not heavily shuffled. They're not in your hand. But I kind of felt like it would have been nice if they were a tad thicker. The dice that you get, these are the boss dice, and you'll always have 2 red and at least 1 black, and then you'll add an additional black die for every player that's playing, so up to 4 more. There might be some circumstances where I guess maybe some missions the boss's ability to add 1 more to that, and these will dictate the bosses and the henchmen in those missions what they do. So I'll give you a sort of a look at the missions, and there are 20 missions, and they cover all the famous bad guys from Mr. Sinister to Thanos to, I don't know who else was there, Mysterio, and there was one more, Dormammu. All these, well-known villains. What's really interesting though is there is one that's for Scarlet Witch. So I wonder if you can have Scarlet Witch playing against Scarlet Witch, but I don't know. Maybe there's a rule here that says you can't. I haven't looked at it. But the intro one that I took and what they recommend is the Doc Ock. But I'll talk first about the mission board, I'm going to call it. My initial thought and impression, I thought, was that with the original Marvel Dice Throne, your characters were cardboard. They fold open, and I thought that was such a smart way to, pack these into a small battle chest. They each have their own slot, and each tray has all their tokens and cards organized. That was fantastic. One of the best things I've ever seen. And I was actually thinking that these mission boards would also be cardboard. Maybe not as thick, but still cardboard. But they're not. These are just thick pieces of paper or thick board that's laminated. And it's a good thing it's laminated. But I think a lot of people are saying, well, it doesn't lie straight. And yeah, you can sort of bend this a little bit this way and bend this a little bit that way. And then all of a sudden you've got it folded flat. But it doesn't fit perfectly flat. The artwork on these is amazing. I think it's vibrant. It stands out. It pops. And then when you look at when you open it up and you've got the mission, like look how nice that is. That is so. It's a top-down view. So you get there is sort of this 3D-ness to it, and you put your standee on, and it gives you all the information, what you're doing for the mission rating in terms of difficulty, how long it's going to take. You've got the mission objective and what rewards you get. And then you've got the henchmen. All the enemies are pre-printed on the board, and they'll have their stats at the bottom. And this is where during the enemy phase, you roll those enemy die, and whatever the results, and you roll it just once. And if you so happen to match the results, they would activate and do whatever ability they have. If they don't match, if you so happen to roll and they don't match, then nothing happens. They just sit there going with their finger in their ear going, And then you've got something called an unstoppable threat. If you get that dice roll, which is usually this symbol down here, then this activates. This is not an enemy target, so you can never destroy an unstoppable threat. It's just persistently there, creating havoc with a 1 in 6 chance that it's going to happen. Well, sorry, a 1 in 6 chance times 4. No, times 2. That it's going to happen. So there you go. And then you'll see that you've got markings, and these are where your boost tiles would go. Your red boost tiles. You would flip them over, and every boost tile gives you a benefit of some kind. So, for example, you might earn momentum points. Are these all momentum? You might gain. I forgot what this one was for. See, that's the one thing about. You would gain bonus damage. This would be bonus damage. You might gain combat points. You might heal, or you might have some other effect or ability. Remove 1 status effect from yourself, or gain 1 momentum if you don't have a status effect. So these would be placed through the board, and when you, at the start of your turn, you're allowed to make 1 movement in terms of 1 action of movement, and you can move anywhere on the board that you're permitted to. Typically, anything in the light gray is a movable spot. Anything in dark gray is not passable. And if there is an enemy in a dark gray spot, once you defeat the enemy, you would place a clear token to indicate that that enemy's, first of all, it's been defeated, so they'll never activate again. And then you're allowed to move through. So that's sort of how you're passing through, getting through the mission. So at any given time during your movement, you are able to move anywhere where permitted or where there is a path. So you're not restricted to say, oh, on your turn you're only allowed to move three movement. So I think that's okay because I guess in some sense it allows you free movement back and forth if you need to. Again, I don't have enough experience yet playing all the missions yet to tell you, but that's what it feels like. And then once you've completed the objective, you go to the exit, or if there is an exit, but once you complete the objective and you've had to exit if you need to, then you're officially completed this side of the mission and you move to the boss fight. Now, one thing I wanted to mention down here was the crisis clock, which is down here, and they had something really, really neat. It's in here. I think I remember reading some discussion to say that it was a token. I don't know if you can see that. Can you see it? It was a token that you put. You start off having it face directly forward or north or whatever you want to call it, and then you roll one die, whatever the value is. You would move it to whatever position, and then start from there. During the end of a round, there is the crisis clock movement where it moves one position for every player that's playing, and for every position it moves into, you would resolve the effect. And usually the effect is the crisis ability on a henchman or possible some other effect. So I think one of the things that they were talking about was initially it was just a token, and yeah, look, if you start moving it, oh, and then you knock it, oh, it doesn't work, or you may have lost your position. But now they included the crisis back, which is magnetized, and that's so cool. Just something so simple, right? So now, as you can see, it's locked in place, and I can turn it and pivot it without ever thinking that, oh, if I accidentally knock the board. It's too bad the whole board wasn't magnetized. I could use that for the boost tiles, but that's not a big deal. But for the crisis clock, very, very cool. That is a very cool, smart design, I think. Very smart design. So once you finish this first side, which is the mission side, then you end up into the boss fight side. And every mission is like that. And they has a slightly different goal. One goal is you're not moving, you're not traversing through a map of any kind. You're right there, front and center, facing the big bad who's right in the middle. He's got all his abilities. He's got a crisis clock as well, and for every turn of that clock will activate his crisis abilities, and sometimes it's a good thing, sometimes it's a bad thing. And obviously your main objective here is to bring them down to 0 health, and their health depends on how many heroes are playing this. So, and then again for the enemy roll, you roll the enemy dice or the boss or the enemy dice, and whatever results, if they match, you would choose the first one that matches from left to right. And most of them have a defense, which will trigger if you do an attack on them. So all this together, it flows really nice. And the whole turn order, the flow of the game, the turn phases, all outlined on a quick reference card right here. It tells you how to do a quick mission setup. It also gives you all the things that you need to know for it. So it's a little bit more because you've got the enemy upkeep and the henchman roll, or the boss roll, the enemy dice roll, and the crisis clock. So the few extra, I guess, phases that happen as a result of these missions. And then on top of that, you've got the whole stack of missions that you can go through. 20 of all degrees of difficulty, and everyone is vibrant. Is just now I can't say whether or not they're all the same. At the end of the day, these missions will have some similarity in the sense that you're traversing through all these hexes trying to meet an objective. But the henchmen will be different depending on the difficulty level. Sometimes the enemy is trying to achieve something, so they might be trying to work towards something while you're trying to work against them. They'll all have the crisis clock, and it'll be different, I guess, depending on the mission. And you'll have an unstoppable threat that would also act differently as well. But needless to say, the vibrancy of the map or the mission and just the look of it, it's just really I'm just very, very impressed and very happy with it. So that's sort of my overview coverage of what's in the box. Again, for me, very little criticism in terms of the components. Everything was great. I think if all these missions were cardboard, first of all, this box would be so heavy and a lot larger. So I get it. I get that decision not to make it cardboard or thicker board, as well as probably for cost savings. And I don't know, maybe this way has a bit more shelf life. And on top of that, they can squeeze in 20. I think if you made them cardboard, you'd probably get maybe 4 missions, right? 4 missions in place of 20, and then all of a sudden you have to really evaluate is it really worth it? At the end of the day, this transforms the head-to-head gameplay of Dice Throne into the cooperative experience that I think for me I love to see. And I hope that Dice Throne stretches out into other IPs. I'm still on the fence on whether or not I'll pick up the retail box of X-Men Dice Throne. But with this, I feel like, you know what, there might be incentive. I've got 20 missions to go through and a few more characters that I can choose from, and it'd be so much fun. So I hope that they stretch out into other IPs. I would love to see a Transformer IP. I would love to see a He-Man IP or Thundercats IP or G.I. Joe IP or Dragon Ball Z IP. Like, it would be fantastic if Dice Throne tapped into all those IPs. I'm sure I can't be the only person that would just flip and say, "Oh, that's gotta be, I gotta have that." Um, they should do a vote. They should have a voting poll for the next IP, and hopefully they can work out something with those owners of those IPs. So, thanks again for watching this sort of overview of Dice Throne missions. And probably my next video, I'll probably put together a quick playthrough, maybe the Doc Ock intro, but I have a feeling there might be a lot of other videos out there to go through that tutorial mission, so maybe I'll just randomly pick one. Or hey, toss in a comment below, tell me a challenge I should go after and lose terribly too. So and then maybe I'll put that together for my playthrough vid. So until next time, stay bored.